Welcome to Trading Lounge and the European Indices, but I'd like to start with the S&P 500 as it's one of the main drivers for the Euro region and also Asian as well. So typically we've got wave 4 here, as we have wave 4 in the same place for the European markets as well, and we've been looking from wave 4 down to wave 5 of C here. So we can see that from wave 4 we have wave 1 and 2 here, and we're in the third wave at this point here, and then 4 and then 5 coming into play. So on the hourly chart, sort of drilling into this area here, we've got wave 1 here, wave 2 here, and then we have wave 1 coming down here with an A and a B and a C here for wave 2 on the hourly chart, and then we're looking down here for wave 1 and 2 and then 3. So this is the 2650 area here, so it's going to be this this corrective continuation pattern here is playing out across this level here, so you can look to short this further on new lows here. But this particular structure here is quite clean and tidy. When we get into the Euro market, a lot of this structure in here is really quite messy, but I think that if we use this as a bit of a guide stick, this pathway for the Euro markets, we'll be pretty much on the same track. So what I want to take away from here is that we have wave 4 here, wave 1 and 2, and 1 and 2. So you need that picture in your mind and coming down for 3 here, because when we look at the Euro markets, they're going to be the same but different, and like I said, in most of them they're really quite messy from here to here, they're really quite messy, and you could have any type of wave count going on. So in the bigger picture, as a bit of a guide stick, using the Germany mid cap here, and this particular pattern here too is the same in some of the indices, in the same with the US indices, in fact. Not so much the S&P 500, but some of the ETFs and so on. Yeah, so anyway, this pattern is quite common in the US as well. But with this here, we're looking from B to C here, and we're looking down as 1, 2, 3, 4, and then down for 5 here. It's also possible too that, just to chuck a spanner in the works, but it's got to be said, is that this wave 4 is really quite simple. So it may get more complex. We may end up with an A wave up here, a B wave here, and a C wave here for wave 4, and then down. Because this move down through here really is only counting as 3 waves down. That wave 1 and 2 in green, and then 1 and 2 again in the smaller grey colours. So it's possible in some cases. So we'll see. Now, moving on to Germany, we'll just pretty much go to the intraday here. So with the intraday here this is a 1 hour chart, and just get wave 4 into play here. This move that's coming down here, you kind of got to imagine it a bit like the US one that we looked at, and if that's going to be the case, then we should see a bit of a rally in here, and then down further, moving in space. So basically, if you see weakness, then short it, and we actually got stopped out on this one and also the UK one, so we can look to short here again, especially just in terms of the trading levels. We've got 11,000, then 1, 2 and 3, so they make up group 1 here, and then we've got the midpoint. And I kind of understand in a bear trend that if the number 2 within group 1 here, the number 2 here becomes the retested resistance, then we normally see it being pulled back down to the closest largest number, which would be 11,000. If that's the case, well, then we're still in the trend and we'll move through that space. So there's a different way to count all this down here as well, which is on our website, and it's looking at this is an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave here for wave 1, and then looking and saying still leaves wave 1 and 2 in the same place, but basically ending diagonal triangle from wave 4 here down to wave 5. So this would also play out in 3 waves as well. Here is an A and a B and a C wave coming down here in 3 waves. That will leave, we'll keep a close eye on and that would make this wave 4 here, and this would make wave 3 here, green wave 3 here. So pay close attention to if we get 3 or 5 waves in this particular structure here, but at the end of the day we still want to sell weakness across these indices. So while we're here, we can just bring the CAC across here, and the same again, wave 4 here, and looking at all of this down as wave 1 here, an A wave, a B wave and a C wave for wave 2, and then looking at this structure, all of this down here for wave 1 and 2. I know I can count this differently as well, but I want to tie it into the US markets because I can see that they're actually moving together on an intraday. So there can be different counts for this move down here, but the main thing that we want to be looking at here is that the market had this as some support. It's not quite true. There's a bit more of a story in the bigger picture of all of this, but I just really want to stay within this space, and that means that this is support here, and now it's dropped through and it comes back and checks it as resistance. So if we make a new low here, then we know that we'll be going further down. It's because this is already tested, but it really hasn't touched it, so that will be interesting. But any further downside here, we can look to move into that through here. And the other markets will be the same as well. We'll have a quick look at the AEX here, and from the top here, in this case we're looking at 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 for the third wave. A fourth wave quite high, pulling back to the fourth wave for 1 less degree though, which makes it good. And you can see this wave structure down here is just not completed. I have to say here, however, the 520 here, which is the midpoint, we're just talking about this with the DAX, in that this is group 1, 2 and 3, 10, 20 and 30 in this case. So we want the number 2 here to become the resistance here, and if that holds, then we'll be pulled down to this number here. Because as I mentioned before, it's quite possible in some of these cases that this can be an A wave, a B wave to here, and then a C wave up to here. So if this market finds support on 520, then we'll have to look at that. But for the meantime, we want to just see if we're going to be pulled down. And looking at the US markets, it does appear that we're going to be pulled down. So we're still expecting new lows to come in here. And also for the MIB as well. Sorry about all the noise in the background. We've got a storm up here and the power's been cutting in and out. I do have a generator as well for backup, but means I've got to muck around to get it going a bit. But okay, so the MIB, all I've done here is considered this wave 4 up here in line with everything else, and looking at this coming to the downside here as wave 1 here, ABC for wave 2, and then down for 1 and back for 2 here. So we've got a lot of short trades in, but if you want to go short again, then taking any new lows out in this space here would be the way forward. Still want to leave the stop out of the way, and the stop would just be above the 19,000 there. So up here somewhere, so we want to keep that, that's the resistance at this stage here, but we can keep building in. We're going to be taking part profit down at 18,000 here because we'll expect a stronger bounce here. Alrighty, thank you for tuning in and enjoy the weekend.